E-gaming bets. We accept bets on computer games online since 2011. Referral system for regular users and the first deposit bonus. Gaming devices store and the best choice of payment systems. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, Counter-Strike and StarCraft, World of Tanks and League of Legends. EGB.com. You know for sure who's going to win.
Getting tired of playing with the usual skins but don't have enough money to buy a new one? Get rich fast with csgofast.com. CS Go Fast. It's a strong chance of winning in every game. Several rooms with different game modes. Daily, more than 1,000 games, 5,000 players, and 25,000 skins at stake. You don't need much in order to sweep the board.
Welcome back to the Starladder I-League Star Series Season 2. We are here going into Stage 2 qualification now, where things get a little bit harsher. We are TomBiz14, or I am, I should say, and you, of course, are Ryan, also known as Flakes. And although I may have mucked that up a little bit, I didn't muck it up quite as hard as Team X. Yeah, there we go, full circle.
There we go, bringing it back. It's always the key with the caster, bringing back the mistakes, throwing it back into the rhythm of things. But of course, you're certainly right about one thing, Team X mucking it up. It's going to be a bit of an awkward way for them to walk away with a loss on Dust 2. Godsent proving to be, well, a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and the main thing for me is Cobble has the sort of perfect mix, in my eyes, of the first two maps. Like, you have that sort of, like, the heavy-sided side of the map as Train. You have the T side almost playing towards those aimer style of things. Like, let's be honest, a lot of the time tactics goes out of the window, and they'll just say something like, hey, my name's Pronax. I'm going to jump into drop and try and get a kill. Letco, you walk out onto plat and try and do the same thing. But then you go onto the CT side, and the counter to that is obviously a clear tactical basis. You talk about the idea of 4 players playing over towards that B site, having to position themselves, maneuver themselves correctly, how they play drop down, whether or not they're going to play close to the stairs or broken wall, or whether they'll go all the way back towards chicken coop and the sort of statue area, and how they'll play it. Will they have 4 players? Will they have one over towards A and have that sort of anchor player yet again? It really does have the balance of both, but in terms of which works better, it seems to be that sort of aim style anyway on the T side, and I do feel like if Godsent actually start on the T side, they could just aim their way out of the map.
I feel like this is where the mechanical aim of Godsent really comes into its own, I guess you could say, and I am relying on them having their T side here, certainly something that you've mentioned as well. For Team X, what can they do in this scenario? Is this something they can walk away and walk into, most importantly, going, guys, we have a good chance in this one, you know, we can do this, this, and this. Like, what can they do? What is their thought process going to be after, what was a, for all intents and purposes, a stomp on that last map?
Well, I feel like there's a similar sort of scenario for them as well. If they are able to start on the T side, get themselves rolling, have their players start stepping up a little bit better, obviously the AWP is nowhere near as big a factor on the T side of the map, getting Freeze a little bit more confident, then you can sort of see the mistakes come out from Godsent, the same way that we saw them isolated a bit on the first map, and you can see them get isolated a bit on this map as well. Again, I feel like both teams will actually probably pick the CT side, which could even mean that maybe the team who loses the knife round actually gets the better opportunity, but at the same time there's that potential to come back, and originally, well, overall, I won't be surprised if we see this time not Wenton as that isolated player over towards A, and it will actually be Schneider, because he just always plays towards that A site. He has the AWP, goes very aggressive towards long, looks for that early pick, and then falls back, and that's a style that Godsent like to play. The only problem is, a lot of the time, he can get counter-fragged, he can be taken down by the opposing AWPer, and then it gives a huge advantage over to the opposing side.
An advantage indeed, but if there's one thing to talk about, we get to see Godsent on that T side. This is where things could actually go horribly wrong for Team X. No, Team X actually decided to stick things in their CT side, which means that, well, Godsent, in our opinion at least, they come on the better side of the stick. Godsent themselves, Pronax, he might be thinking differently. But now we get to see this mechanical aim come into full force, whereas from the Team X side of things, well, they certainly have an idea of what they want to do in these booster rounds and what they want to do over the course of this game, but they have to pull it off. Yeah,
and we're starting off into this round. The player I'm yet to highlight, but a player I want to is Twist, very aggressive on this map. Another player will go with Pronax, and you can already see that coming out to play as they go rushing through drop down. Glaive will manage to trade a couple back. It seems like they're not really sure where they're actually splitting towards at the moment, as Glaive is doing so much damage. Pronax will manage to trade one, and it's Wenton doing the damage with the USP. opening up this B site, allowing them to get the plant. And the thing about that B site is, once the plant is down, there are plenty of places to hide.
Freeze, he's going to have no idea what he's got himself in for. He's actually going to be going towards window, playing around this drop scenario, but he has no idea, as we said before,
picked up a kit
exactly where they can go. The kit going to be something, gives them a lot more time to work with. But the key thing for Godsent is both of those players are up towards platform, which means, well, Freeze, if he doesn't quite realize where they are, he might have to go for an aggressive face check, and that could be exactly what Godsent wanted to do.
Is smart. I don't think I really needed to point that one out, but he's just gone all the way back around, leaving a flank, making this so much more difficult. Freeze will be aware. The bomb's starting to tick very quickly now. The fake yet again. The peek from Wenton, and a risky one, but he takes the head off his opponent, starting things off nicely for Godsent. The bomb, well, ticking away far past any point of return anyway. But now we have to see what will actually come in here for the CT sub. We saw two different buy-ups over on that first half, or the second map, I should say. We saw the first time they actually dropped the scout for free and really investing in him as a player. And then the second time they decided, you're not really playing well enough, we're not going to do that. And, well, it seems to be the case here again. Not going to go for that scout play. They could have dropped it and possibly even got some armor. But luckily for them, Glaive will be finding that first kill. And there's a lot of UMPs across the board at the moment, currently 4 in the game. Schneider will be the first to fall, but Glaive, the player with that actually going to drop it over, and I think that's very smart.
Certainly would agree with that one, as now we'll look to see exactly what Team X want to do in this round. Will they take it, that 1-1 situation, or are Godsent going to walk away with a nice and smooth 2-0? They certainly have the tools to do just that. But they do, well, they are actually in fact one man behind. We saw Schneider fall fairly early on, Glaive doing the damage with the CZ. And Twist, he's potentially looking for something over towards drop. But Godsent, well, they have a target painted on that A site.
Yeah, X marks the spot. A couple of players in position at the moment, waiting. Freeze without too much, and this is always the risk. Like, you want to save up as an AWPer, but I always feel like if you're just straight up saving, then you're almost saying we're going to lose the round, which, again, is a bit of a weird scenario to sort of take. Either way, getting up close and personal is going to be important for both teams, and already we see another kill coming in. Wenson will manage to trade it back. Twist is going to do more damage, but Letcro now falls in the meantime. This UMP has done so much damage, considering the investment behind it, and why it's even going to be traded out for an AK. So really nice stuff coming out from Team X. They managed to bounce straight back, and, well, not going to be surprised. I don't even get to say it. Godsent are going to force up.
I think that was almost 100% certainty that was going to take place.
No, it's only 100% when it's MK.
That's certainly true. I'll give you that one. I will give you that one. But looking at this buy, it's going to be the Tech-9s and Eagles. The reliance, for the most part, going to be on the Tech-9s.
Or 5.
Yeah.
Obviously talking about the boy band and not the one related to the Chinese team. Either way, some aggression coming out from the Ts. Fair hefty aggression, and so far it's being absolutely shut down. The drop-down control working very, very nicely with Glaive cleaning up a couple of kills, and, well, 1 kill, and Snappy doing the damage as well. They do take a couple of players low, but a player being low and finding a frag are two very, very different things. And finally now, after that force buy, the not surprising force buy, we will see an eco coming out. And something I'm actually hoping that will come out eventually is the shotgun onto Twist, because I'm a big fan of him, JW. That's why I sort of make, this is one of the maps that is the main reason I like to make that comparison. That sort of explosive player who will just do ridiculous things but make them work.
It's all about making it stick and coming out of things at the end with a result. That's what counts, Tom. So now we look to see exactly what Team X want to do with this one. They've got themselves a round advantage on the board. Godsent going to be looking to take this one away from them. In this scenario, they should be able to take a nice and smooth 3-1. We can't take the cards off of Godsent for them to look to dish out the damage and at least make it painful for Team X. As now clock going to be ticking down. Still a bit of a way off for anything to take place just yet. That's one thing for sure. Twist, he's worming himself right up through Elon, getting himself very, very comfortable indeed. As now Snappy going to be looking for something with his UMP.
Yeah, going to try and make a little bit of extra cash. 3 will be starting things off. And looking like a pretty simple cleanup at the moment. A little bit of damage done onto a couple of players. Snappy, in fact, down to just 2 HP. But Letcro not really in the best position to try and make this work. There is still a player lurking. Glaive ready and waiting, and that's going to be a nice, easy frag. So a flawless round, flawless victory coming out for the Team X side. And that's going to be crucial for their economy. Look how much money they actually have already. Still look like they're going to go for a bit of a bonus round themselves to build that up even more, being a little bit greedy. But if it works out, that'll be wonderful for them going into future rounds.
Well, it all comes down to them making it pay off. These UMPs looking to find themselves a handful of frags, making themselves the money, potentially even finding the upgrade. That's a huge thing that a lot of people often overlook in these sort of scenarios, is the fact that if a UMP finds a frag and then exchanges that UMP for a rifle, that's a huge win-win in both scenarios. Of course, taking a look at how this one will play out, Snappy going to be very, very close indeed to a push that looks like it's going to be rolling out from the Godsent side. But will he be able to find the shots? Is they going to be swinging to rattle off? Going to go for it. Wenton will actually take him down, so nothing will come in, no money being made. He's now Freeze going to be the next man to be found. But Twist, another headshot, dropping him straight to the deck. Schneider finding one of his own, doing the damage over towards Connector, and one by one Team X seem to be falling. Modi, the first man to find a frag on their side of things. But even then, perhaps you have to say just a little too late, as he's knocked down to 18 HP. And Team X, they're left with, well, shredded chances going into this round.
This seems to be a Team X way to play things, though. Last few maps, Train especially, we saw this exact thing happen where they sort of underestimated the rifles, and then in the next round it was like, okay, that's a big kick in the teeth, and now we'll come back and win it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did, although now they are going to take a little bit more damage. As we've already seen, they've got plenty of money across the board, so that's not going to be too much of a problem. But of course, saving a rifle is always nice. Glaive currently in a pretty decent position in the frag count, and some of the players already doing better than I feel they did in the last game, although I think he was actually their top player in the last.
Glaive going to find the last frag, takes down Wenton, so at least something being made. But now Godsent, well, if there's one thing for sure, they are not going to be holding back anything going into this round, as they've got a little bit of money to play with, the utility coming out in full force. On the Team X side of things, it's going to be a similar story. We see the AWP on Freeze, but can he have an impact?
Yeah, and the more interesting thing for me is it's actually Lecro and Schneider now down the bottom of the board. It is early days, but we saw how quickly Lecro got off to a start in the last map, and it really did make a big impact. We saw him flying all the way through. I definitely feel like confidence is a big factor for him, and he needs to get that back. And Schneider, those double nades have dunked him down to just 26 HP. Not going to be a nice start to the round. Twist's going to try and do the same, but there is nobody currently over towards Long. And this is definitely an interesting setup from the CT side. They've gone for two players over towards this A site. One of them is holding towards Long in a position where he can't really be spotted until they get very close up, and they've used the boost early on. This will allow a quick trade to come in, but the knowledge of Freeze is not going to be there just yet. He's going to have to crawl through that Molotov, getting his knees burnt, and actually going to be tagged very, very low. Now the site going to be looking like it's completely in the hands of the gods, and they're going to have to try and continue to hold on to that one.
It's looking a little bit awkward, but eventually it will actually be Lecro to get himself up on top of balcony. Freeze has got an inkling that something is taking place, but I don't think he's quite clocked onto it as now. He's actually going to be backing off. He's got 10 HP to play with. And at this point, Team X, they've bit the bullet, but not the bullet you were expecting, Tom. They've gone for the save. So it means they're going to be taking something into the next round. I was kind of wondering what Modi was going for there. Well, what he's going for is going to get punished.
In my eyes, I can just imagine him going, guys, what do you mean we're not going for the retake? And I'm in a position where I can't leave. Guys! Just basically them going, see you, Modi. Have a nice just try and do your best. Try and take someone with you. And, well, Glaive will take someone with him. That's at least something.
A bit of a hilarious scenario for me, at least.
Yeah, an awkward one, for sure, that he has just left there on his own. Either way, they are going to have the buyback up, saving quite a bit of money, and Glaive's still going to have plenty of cash, 8-1 at the moment on the board, but we do see Lecro get onto that board at least, and, well, they did a little bit better in that round. Now they need to carry it on. They've got themselves a couple in a row, and they're going to try and get to the point where they actually manage to break the Team X economy. The only thing you really have to talk about is, with the saves, it means that even when they're slow, if they start beginning to lose rounds more cleanly, the loss bonus has already started to build up. So there is more potential for them to continue to buy. But Free's going to start things off nicely, this time looking over towards that sort of wrap middle position. And, well, the quick couple of trades as the boost also has further aggression, takes down Schneider, and there's going to be no flank this time. That's a big factor as well for Godsent, because that flank from Schneider has actually been pretty good so far, able to really pincer in, sandwich in the remaining players. However, this time it doesn't look like they want to be giving up that A side at all. Already two players actually on the site itself. One over towards the door position will be Glaive, but now we see the Molotovs, the nades thrown out. Freeze will manage to get one, goes back into hiding and trying to bait out some more players. There's no utility left on the Godsent side. It's all down to aim, and they're not going to get anything done. Really nice round coming out from Team X, and although it took them a little bit of a round to bounce back, that does seem to be the factor for them. They're very good at actually bringing themselves back into rounds, as long as they're just not getting completely crushed out by aim, as they were on the sort of Dust 2 side of things.
keeping this one in a very neck-and-neck fashion, which is certainly something to be said for the Team X side. But still very much a kind of so-so scenario. They are pulling ahead on their CT side, which on Cobblestone, Godsent just having 3. Realistically, we'd look to see Godsent trying to pull ahead. In that same kind of things, we saw Cobblestone flip left, right, and center within Chinese CS, and maybe we're seeing a little bit of that leak over into this match, as now Valve ain't going to take down Pronax. Already 1 frag being found by the Team X side.
Yeah, and this is the sort of factor of Pronax. He is very hit and miss. We saw him with 8 entry frags in the last map, and already we're falling much earlier on this map. A decent counter sort of position being held by Team X at the moment. They do only have 2 players over towards this B site, and this does limit them quite heavily. I'm actually a little bit scared for them at this point. Really have to do very well with these 2 players. Glaive in a decent position, one that should definitely be checked, and if it isn't, it's going to be a real problem and need a player looking. That is just such a big misplay. Luckily, Glaive will actually get flashed just at the right moment, and they're going to get away with this one. However, it's still a 2 versus 2. The AWP onto Freeze, looking like it's back in action, and he's even going to find the last one as well. Guess who's back? Back again.
Freeze stepping up in a huge manner, a 3K to boot in that round. But still, Team X not too far ahead just yet, looking to really extend things from here, use that round as almost a launch pad for the rest of their team. As the buying going to be quick to follow. Rebuy not really being too much of a problem. They're building up a good chunk of economy. Free himself on $8,500 in the bank. Whereas on the Godsent side of things, it's a pretty rough, almost, well, not really a fairy tale, more of a nightmare. As it's just going to be, well, a very mixed bag of pistols going into this round.
Yeah, Wenton and Twist having enough to get themselves the Deegs on the board. And, well, probably for one of the first times in this tournament, I'm going to be saying that it's Schneider at the bottom of the board. Very, very quiet at the moment, and it really is a scary prospect, as he's normally one of the big players on this team so far. Definitely think he may be one of the better players on the CT side of the map, and it's really Lekro I'm looking to open up these rounds, which has not been happening so far. The same for Pronax. As said, he's very big on those sort of entry kills, and we haven't seen that too much from him at all. It's actually been him falling earlier in the round. Not going to be an AWP coming in onto the side of the T's this time around, as they do not have the cash to do so, but sometimes I feel the rifle setup may actually be better for them. But let's see how they actually opt to play this one, and whether or not we are going to see some more over-aggression, I guess, from Pronax.
The over-aggression's an interesting one, because we saw Pronax do it on mid in Dust 2, and then it worked, but I'm not sure you can really translate that to Cobblestone. At times, it's been really nice to see, but I feel like maybe the timing overall has been slightly off. So if you can refine that, bring it back, almost into favor of Godsent, then it could work out.
Well, yeah, and especially as you remember, he was doing the aggression on the CT side. So that's why it was so effective. They won most of their rounds on that CT side. Either way, into this one, it is going to be the opening frags going the way of the T side. And this would be a great time to start bringing things back. We normally expect, or almost always expect, the T side to be winning the half. And so far, that's looking pretty bleak at this stage, as they now need to string quite a few rounds in a row. However, Lekro now starting to bring things back. 4 players with kills across them at the moment. No chance for a team ace, as Pronax is already down. And, well, I think Freeze is going to be more than happy to actually save at this point. I think they realize they are in a decent situation. He's stepping up big. The only real worry I have is he's going big for his team. I don't think he's really that player to do the work on the T side. I just don't feel like that AWP is going to be the most effective way to actually take this, unless we see some over-aggression, which can actually happen on Schneider's part over towards A. But I think it's going to have to be someone else. And although, yeah, if he's going huge, maybe he can continue that over to the T side. I'm just a little bit worried about that factor at the moment. However, they are looking pretty strong. But Godsent will win this round.
Certainly going to be something and a round on the board for Godsent. Now we look to see if your theory will follow through. Of course, we've got a couple more rounds to go just before we hit that marker. But at least for now, it's going to be that 6-4 scoreline.
Oh, that's bad luck.
That right there is not at all what Team X wanted. Thankfully, they do have a good money in the bank to go completely for the rebuy, $11,000 on Snappy. But that was still a good amount of damage being done, and you just have to say, yeah, luck. Certainly the big phrase that comes to mind.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of luck and a little bit of bad luck on both teams so far. Double up setup will be coming in for the CT side of things, and this is looking like it's going to be an aggressive peek coming out from the side of Snappy, and he's got to be careful. There is a player ready and waiting. Wenton playing that sort of static position, but he's actually not going to go for an overpeak here, and Glaive will be finding the first frag. I'm not sure how Freeze didn't pull the trigger there, possibly a little bit of a faded smoke on the Go TV, but it's going to be Pronax finding a trade straight back. Has to be careful here. He's low on HP. There's quite a lot of players in this position. If the bomb was in the hands of the remaining T players, this would actually be perfect. For obvious reasons, they can't tell that. And we are back into a 3v3. Again, the bomb's still not in the control. And the real problem will be Modi. If he pushes through here after the remaining players are spotted out, he could actually find the bomb. But it looks like he's just going to play a static position. Twist is going to go pushing in, even though they still don't have that bomb in their hands. And his position alone could actually end the round, depending on which way they decide to go. And it looks like they're having a difference of opinion.
Difference of opinion indeed. They seem to be a little bit undecided on exactly where they want to go. I think it's finally been decided that they are going to be going towards that A site. But even then, they're just going to be waiting to catch up with each other. Now they have 40 seconds on the board. We have to see a little bit of movement rolling in soon. Because getting themselves up towards this ramp could take just more time than they overall expected. Now Wenton just going to be creeping up nice and slow, step by step, as Glaive just going to be going for the shoulder peaks over towards that van. He's got the orb. This could be huge, but Wenton's going to go straight for the push, straight through connector, finds the frag on towards Vale. And now they're going to be just wrapping straight back on towards the A site. Glaive going to get punished, misses the shot as well. That is crucial. As now 1 by 1, Team X will hit the deck, and they've handed this A site straight into the hands of Godsent.
Yeah, the bomb will be planted with 10 seconds to spare, so not too much worry. It really did rely on that frag coming in for Wenton, and he's even going to find the last as well. Really nice stuff from the stand-in this round, picking up 3 kills in a 3 versus 2. You can't really hate on that too much. Either way, Godsent are going to be back to 5, looking to try and continue this on to 9. We already talk about the abundance of cash on the Team X side of things, but that's slowly been burnt away, and now we're going to see a glass cannon or per UMP, and a bit more of a limitation on the nades. Still 2 UMPs on the opposing side, and possibly expecting an eco, which could actually cause them some trouble, but we've already spoken about the UMPs. I don't think we need to do that again. We know how effective they can be.
Effective indeed. Is now going to be looking to see Mech, see if they can finally hold this one off. Godsent looking to bring it back to 6-6. They should be winning the half. That's a point we've briefly touched on. Godsent, they should be able to pick this one up and take it the full 9-6 fashion. But to do just that, they need to pull off just not 1 round, but a good handful, as well as not allowing Team X anywhere close to how this one will unfold. But we're talking about those UMPs. They're creeping their way over towards drop. See if maybe they can find a close frag, take down Modi perhaps, who's just going to be shoulder peeking from window. As the clock will be ticking down. Need to see a little bit more movement from Godsent. They are going to be playing very, very static at this point. But when they finally decide to bite the bullet and just go straight for that fast, aggressive play, Team X, they need to know what's hit them. They can't be stunned. They can't be dazed. They have to find the frags.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be dazed. He's not even allowed to play. But, yeah, we're going to see this build up now. Smoke will rain in. We're going to see some flashbangs building that up as well. Glaive taking a little bit of damage from the nades, but not anything that should be too effective just yet. The tree position definitely more effective when looking over towards Platt. So Pronax, if he checks this, could actually get himself a free frag. Glaive playing up close and personal. 35 seconds left on the clock. We will see the peak come out from Pronax, giving away a little bit of knowledge, but no real damage done by the T's just yet. Counter nade still raining out. We will see a quick trade either way, and Lekro now pushes out onto Platt. Need to see this guy go big. Will be trades across the board. 2 versus 2 in this scenario. The bomb should be able to go down unless Freeze can actually stop it with the AWP, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do that just yet. Twist now rotating over. Will throw down the smoke, giving them a little bit of extra time, but Snappy has other ideas. He goes straight through the smoke. Quick spray down. Twist going to find both. Lovely stuff from him, and that will be the 6-all scenario and the reset yet again for Team X.
That reset going to be absolutely perfect for the Swedish side, because now, realistically speaking, unless something huge goes wrong, I'm not going to go with 100%. We've learned our lessons on 100%. I'm sure there are a lot of casters out there who have fallen into that trap before, but you know,
just don't use percent.
Relatively speaking, we should be seeing Godsent walk away with this round, bring it back to 7-6, and from there they have the perfect kind of launching pad to get themselves over to that 9-6 scoreline, which isn't the greatest thing in the world on Cobblestone, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, there's a slight possibility that they might lose this slightly, possibly in a little bit of a possible position.
I don't want to just lie on too much. I'm a little bit, after watching Chinese CS for a week or so,
yeah,
you don't even want to talk about pistol rounds in Chinese CS. It's been a... we have seen gun rounds.
Well, that was more actually the Athletico side that had their problems with the sort of pistol light. Either way, we are going to see Pronax going a little bit more aggressive. He's going to find that first frag. Wenton's taken a hefty bit of damage himself, and well, apart from that, there isn't really too much problems. He is going to drop his rifle over towards Twist, go with the AWP because he's low on HP, so it sort of makes more sense, although there is a higher chance for that to actually be dropped now over to the opposition. But I imagine he'll be playing a fairly passive role and allowing these UMPs to actually do the damage. One player will be dropped. It will be Schneider, And any more damage could actually be quite nice, because Godsent, they haven't been doing this too cleanly at the moment, still losing a few players across the board, come down to some 1v2s and some close scenarios, or 2v3s even. And now we're looking at Freeze going through the smoke. Fronax just making that moolah. He's got himself 1,800 in the bank already and looking to try and get the full shebang.
The full shebang indeed. It's going to be the CZs and Peter50s looking to dish out a little bit of damage. Now they're going to be pushing out close and personal, leaning towards drop, but I think he's having second thoughts. And second thoughts in this sort of scenario, not what he wants to be dealing with, because that bomb is going to be ticking away. His almost opportunistic period has passed. There's now Godsent. They've got themselves well and truly out of connector, and for the most part up towards A. There's one player he could find Twist, but even then he's not in a prime position. And Pronax is now going to be holding that angle, which means Valde, well, not much he can do. He's going to go for the peak. Gets given the warning shots by Pronax. Eventually going to be getting punished potentially here. Gets away with his life, and will actually run away with the UMP.
Yeah, he'll get himself an SMG, which I'm not sure how much they actually want to keep into this one. Has been dropped over to Snappy, but I would prefer for them to just go for a full buy, especially coming into this last couple of rounds, and that is what they're going to do. They're not going to go for the risk. As you can see, if they did, then, well, yeah, they'd have one player on a buy against the potential of 5 coming in this round. So, a full buy. Doesn't have any armor onto Freeze. We do have an AWP back onto the Godsent side of things, and it's looking like he may actually go for a more aggressive style of peak. We are going to see him actually boosting up his his teammate, not his opposition, into that little Krev, which I'm not a big fan of, because if it's checked, it does become a little bit obsolete, a sort of trade scenario, but it's not even going to be checked, because they're not going in that direction. Pronax already in the drop position. A few players building up over towards Plat. The bomb yet to really be made, and there's the sort of Pronax position we talk about on this T side. He finds that opening frag, gonna take down Glaive, who has been one of the bigger players on this CT side so far, especially in their early rounds. Will get caught out with a nade, which allows the trade to come in, the AK to be into the hands of Valde. But he's now the only player over towards this B side, which is the opposite of what we normally see. I'm actually really, really confused.
Dazed and confused with the phrase that comes to mind is now Godsent looking to take full control. They've done just that. I don't think they quite realised they've got full control just yet. They're still a little bit nervous, just tapping away towards Chicken Coop, making sure there is going to be no casual surprises lying in the smokes. So now we are seeing that one plant roll in, Twist to be the man to pull that one off. There's now Godsent, well, they're more than comfortable. I still don't think they've quite realised what exactly is going on. I still think they're looking for some frags that just aren't going to happen, because Team X, well, they're saving and they're miles away.
Well, I think the save is the only logical situation here. They were sort of gambled on the fact that Godsent would go over towards that A site, but I'm not really a fan of that. You have to sort of go for the heavier stack on the B site, because it is the side that's, well, for starters, it's hit a lot more. But secondly, it was the fact that they actually lost the player over towards drop. Yes, there was still the potential for it to go either way, but you saw which way Pronax was going. You saw the nades coming in on the other side, and they were way too slow to actually rotate. And, well, they will find one more frag for their troubles. Lecro not going to be crying about that one, as he will have enough money to buy back into this next round. As you can see, they have an abundance of cash, and this has been a complete turnaround from Godsent. They started very, very slow, and now I'm sort of wondering, well, especially if they get this last round, will that actually be enough to take them over the line on the CT side, especially if some of the players start to step up, e.g. is Schneider going to actually wake up and come into the game a little bit more?
I think that's a really interesting point, and, well, for me, only time will tell. I think you can talk about it, and that's one thing, but looking to see if he's actually going to wake up is a whole other prospect in itself.
Poke him.
Just kind of got to prod him with a stick and be like, Schneider, just want to play some CS. Now's a good time.
Here's a deagle. You know what to do.
Yeah, he's done it before.
Get me some highlight.
I'd be surprised if he does it again. But of course, if he wants to pull off, now will be a good time. It's the third map, Tom. And one of these teams, well, there is no second chances, suffice to say. Now we look to see exactly how this one will unfold. It's going to be the last round of this first half. It's either going to be a 6-9, potentially a 7-8. There's now Snappy with things off, finds the first frag. Wenton going to come straight back in with the trade. Molly going to be coming with the peak. They're wrapping down the bomb, finds another frag, a headshot to galore. Looking to find the third, going to get punished eventually by Lecro, but perhaps just a little too late. It's now Team X. They've got themselves into this one in a very nice fashion. But Schneider, he will deliver the upset, takes down Glaive. We're back to a 2 versus 2, but now Valde going to find one of his own, makes that 2, takes down Lecro. And it's going to be that 7-8 half.
Yeah, and, well, looking like a much more balanced Team X side. Every single person doing reasonable on frags. 8 to 12 is sort of the only difference of 4 frags. And you look at the other side of things, Wenton, the stand-in for the team, is actually top fragging at the moment, top on points, top on MVPs, top on pretty much everything. And then you have Schneider, the sort of unexpected factor down the bottom of the board. I do think he could be a much bigger factor on that CT side of things, but if you actually talk about how Team X have done here, they've had a reasonable half. The only problem we're sort of talking a little bit anti on them is because they actually had 6 rounds or 6-3 lead at one point and then threw it away a little bit, and even with the sort of 4-buys coming in left, right and centre, you sort of have to talk about the idea that, yes, they were saving to get the buy back on the board, but when they lost 5 rounds in a row, was it worth actually trying to go for these clutch plays in a 4 versus 3 or trying to actually retake a site when some of the players, well, you talk about Schneider, wasn't actually hitting his shots?
Hitting his shots is going to be a huge one. But now, as we said, we're kind of in that toying with the idea of prodding Schneider and saying, do you want to wake up? Well, on a 4-12 scoreline, he has to wake up if his team want to walk away with this one. But for me, what it does come down to is the CT side on a whole. Taking that entire setup, do Godsent have what it takes? We've seen them on Coldstone once or twice. They don't necessarily go to this map straight off the bat 24/7. But I mean, if there's one person who will know about Godsent and their CT sides, it will be you, Tom, because you do have a little bit of favouring towards Godsent. You certainly watched them in the past.
Well, I've casted, because of the Invitational, I think they were in like 3 different qualifications just because teams kept dropping out. And that's the one, I have to say, the one thing I really love about this team, if you give them an opportunity, they'll take it with both hands. They had a load of different attempts to actually qualify. And every single time it was just because when sort of Starladder went, okay, well, we have a team dropping out. Do you want another go? Yes, we want another go. We'll take it. But on this sort of CT side of things, I'm always interested to see how you slot in a stand-in. That's the biggest thing for me, because we saw sort of the coach of Dignitas, they threw him in drop for the first few rounds and then went, actually, that's not the best idea because that's a really difficult position to actually play. Then, in this sort of scenario, you talk about the idea that the player who's currently bottom fragging is normally the catalyst over towards that A side. In the pistol round, I'm not going to be commenting on it too much because teams play differently in pistol rounds to the way we saw. For example, on Trey, Winter was playing over towards the Ivy position. For the rest of the game, he played B. So it's not really a great scenario here. But in terms of the rest of the game, will Schneider be that catalyst, or are they going to switch it? Are they going to put Wentz in there? Or they just don't know. But either way, we are now into this pistol round in full flow as the A site is the hit. Already we'll see the fall of Twist. Pronax is quite far up, but it's going to take him a while to get there still as the bomb is already being planted. He has the kit as well, and if he drops this far back, then there's going to be huge problems, and he needs to find this kill. He can't go down, and now this is looking really problematic because there is no chance of a kit recovery.
Well, that's going to be the awkward factor. It looks like some more shots looking like they want to roll in. Glaive going to be knocked down to just 40 HP. These shoulder peaks looking like they want to bear some rewards as Freeze and Valde will find one of their own. The jumping shot from Molly to close that one out takes down Schneider. And Team X, they are going to make it 8-8. A very nice pistol round rolling out from them. But at this point, judging by this how this series has gone, can't quite hold promise in the fact that they are going to walk away with this next round. Because we've seen this one swing backwards and forwards.
Swings and roundabouts.
Well, swings and roundabouts indeed, as we look to see what Godsent do want to bring to the table. It's going to be the CZs, the Deagles, that very much mixed setup. But if there's one thing for sure, it's going to be no Deagle magic from Schneider this time around. It's going to be the CZ.
Yeah, easy peasy lemon CZ. Either way, Wenton is going to be the one finding that first frag with an aggressive peek. Will take down one player, which will be Snappy, but Freeze is quickly there to trade. Are going to throw away the sort of SMG positions and, well, still armor on the remaining players. A few nades actually coming in onto Pronax. He hasn't got any Kevlar, so he's going to have the more difficult of scenarios, although that 5-7 up close and personal, we know how damaging that weapon can be. At the moment, even though it is still pistols, it does seem to be Twist playing that more catalyst role, and that could just be a shape up in their, well, the way they're playing anyway. And he's actually going to find the first and second. That's really nice. If it had just been another trade, then I would have been talking about a sort of even scenario favouring that T side still. He's found both, found the bomb, doesn't manage to get anything into his hands, but we're not too worried anyway. He's just found 2 kills with the CZ. And now we're looking at 1 rifle on Valde, which has to be absolutely huge, and Modi stepping up with this SMG.
He's going to go for the first strike, gets punished by Schneider, it will take him down. And this is getting worse and worse by the second for Team X, as now it's going to be that rifle alone. It will take down Twist, but it's still going to be a 1 versus 3, and now Godsent, they know exactly where Valde is. They should have a rough inkling of the options he's got and where he wants to head, and that flash from Valde going to be looking to make sure they toy with his mind just a little bit more.
Either save or chuck out of the map.
I think he's going to go for it.
Yeah, I know. That I'm saying what he should do.
What he should do and what he wants to do, they are two vastly different things, because he's going to be holding this angle.
He is going to save now.
I think you should realise, looking at the clock, that he has to save. There is no question about it. But whether he gets away with it or not, because he's stuck in all corners, they are hunting him down. If Starladder is actually going to be the one to find the frag, making the money with the UMP and then upgrading to an AK-47.
Should have chucked out of the map. Should have just got rid of that AK. Or just run for the hills, because there was just not enough time for him to do that, no matter what happened.
Shoulda, woulda, didn't.
Yeah, well, hey, don't worry, it's not like you've just handed a free AK over. Not the worst case scenario. They could have handed a lot more over, only buying the one. It does have that lower risk if they do lose the round, but that's sort of the thing. They have the higher risk of losing the round in general. Already we see a very aggressive push, though, coming out. Nice work to get a couple of frags, but now they need to try and do a little bit more. Snappy, he's going to be running around, finishing off Lecro, and well, there is that AK. It's gone back into the hands of the T side, and Wenton, he has an SMG to play with.
It's going to be that 2 versus 1. Wenton looking to maybe see if he wants to find something at all. Of course, he can make himself some healthy money by trying to go for this one. He does have a kit as well. So that's all the ingredients he requires to flush this one out, but I think he's been spotted. Snappy will take him down. Just playing with the corners, should I say the edges of the walls. I was going to look at, once again, a neck-and-neck scoreline, 9-all. Team X looking to bring this one back. They did the damage with the Tech-9s. But can this follow through?
Well, maybe that was the plan all along. Give them the AK and then just get it back in the next round.
Just give them some hope, give them some faith,
huge
and then
mind games.
smash it away.
Just huge mind games. But speaking of games, we actually have a buy coming in on the CT side as well. Schneider going to be playing with that rifle. Of course, didn't have to buy one because he was able to pick up the one in the previous round, so now he buys one back up. We've already seen them do this once with arguably a lesser buy because there wasn't a rifle in play. But now they're coming up against 4 rifles and a Tech-9, so definitely a more difficult round for the Godsent side of things. They're going to need a huge step up from Schneider and, well, hopefully some Deagle prowess from the rest of the players.
Well, it comes down to them landing the shots. Ultimately, that's what it will count.
Well, that's CS.
Well, CS is basically being good at using a mouse and keyboard. Who would have thought it? It's going to be Molly using that mouse, finds a headshot, takes down Pronax. It's going to be something for the Team X side to work with as well. They are going to be dealing with the Godsent side that are significantly weakened. All they have is those CZs and Deagles. The one key thing is going to be the M4 and Schneider, but just how much can one man do? And the last time I said that, we saw Schneider get 3-1 Deags on cash.
Well, you've just ruined it now. You've counter-cursed. That's what you've done. Lecro going to be the Lone Ranger over towards B. Nice shot onto Muddy, but he has a whole lot of work to do. The rotation already being made. You can see the push around the back coming out from Twist as they try and make it. Lecro, well, he only manages 2, but it's still some pretty nice work. Schneider, he finds one with a rifle, but it's not going to be enough to bring them the lead, but they do still have 2 players left. Twist pushing him from behind is even going to find one more, and now it's all down, and they manage it again. Clutching things out, and this is just ludicrous at this point. And no, not the rapper.
So what was that about curse? I just want to kind of reiterate that and just kind of take a bit of a rewind.
But you cursed Schneider. He only got 1.
It's a team game, Tom.
No,
it's all about teams
you
binding together.
He was going to get an ace.
As a unit, as a single man.
You cursed him.
Finding the damage.
You cursed Schneider. Either way, really nice stuff from Lecro with the Deag there. Not only finding the frags, but also really slowing down that push to a point where his team were already rotating, coming in from behind, and then Twist just made that so much more difficult as he takes down one while the bomb was being planted, so they knew exactly where that final player was. No surprise, we're going to see another force coming in from Team X. They're not ready to give up this economy battle just yet, but now we're seeing 4 rifles on the other side, but it doesn't seem to matter too much who has the rifles. It's more just who's on point in the round, and well, there is one of those rifles finding the first pick. No love for Schneider just yet as he loses his head in more ways than one.
Schneider just being left craniumless after all. Certainly not going to be having an impact. Perhaps that curse starting to bear a couple of rewards, Tom, as we look to see what Godsent can do here. Are we finally be seeing this one come to an end, this neck-and-neck fashion of a game? That's going to be the question. Now we look to see exactly what will take place. Lecro going to come out with a flash. He's in a nice position, but gets spotted out anyway. Valdi will take him down. Modi going to come in with one of his own. It looks like potentially we could find ourselves going back. That is 10-all scenario. As Team X, they've gone into one alive and kicking. Taking down 3 players alike, looking to take down those last 2. Twist and Wenton, the 2 left standing, and at this point we can already see them just edging away, going for the save. There is no reason for them to go for this one. All they need is to take those AK-47s into that 21st round.
Yeah, this is just a really weird game. At the moment it seems the team with the better buy is just unable to capitalize. The rifles on that T side, really going big, finding 3 kills. And, well, Wenton's going to be waiting. Snappy will spot him out, and now the rest of the players are going to try and shut this economy down. It may not even be the best scenario for them, because clearly the pistols are king at this point in time. Wenton just going to be trying to save this rifle, keep it into the next round. Both AKs as well, so huge headshot potential. And Free is going to be shoulder peeking, but he finally finds that kill. Twist going to be the last one alive for his team, and still just trying to clutch his rifle out, and will actually manage to do it as he takes one more. So damage done. Wonder if we'll actually see a buy yet again, and it looks like we may not this time, as Pronex has actually dropped to the CZ, so maybe Godsent bowing out of the force buy race, although they are actually going to drop a couple of things, but nothing too extensive, at least.
I think at this point they know that ultimately it's not worth it. It leads them in an endless circle, an endless chase of just, you know, a cat trying to chase its tail, and it's not worth it. The cat will never find its tail in the end. It's going to lead to this kind of awkward scenario now as Team X looking to make it 11. Godsent trying to hold them off and do the damage, but they only have these pistols. They have the one rifle Twist looking to make its own little impact, but even though it's looking pretty damn rough.
Yeah, and well, as you can see, there is no one on the A side at the moment. Absolutely diddly squat on that A side as the T's slowly making their way in that direction. We will see a slight rotation coming out. I think maybe even just leaving Twist there alone would have been a nice idea. Or doing it the other way around, leaving him alone on the B side and having the stack on A. But now they have just sort of split this one back to a more normal circumstance. Unfortunately, their buy is not, well, full or normal in any sort of circumstances. They have an AK on one player and CZs and other pistols on the rest. Either way, with a couple of... Well, the CZ going to do the nice amount of damage already as Lekro manages to grab that first kill. The trade should be coming in pretty quickly, but we can already see Pronax tapping away. We'll do an extra bit of damage. Twist not going to have any impact, though, and that was the big player we were waiting for. Rush through the smoke from Schneider, going to be nigh on suicidal. And Wenton, he's grabbed that AK back and may just try and fall back here.
I think that's a smart decision. Picking up alone, that's a nice achievement. Now he has to walk away with the rewards and not lose it. That's the most important factor. As we look to see exactly how this one will unfold. It's going to be Team X. They've got 4 men standing. They've got that bomb ticking away. And ultimately, what is there to say apart from Wenton? Providing he goes for the fairly standard option and pulls off the save, there's not too much to talk about apart from, well, what's going to take place in that 22nd round. We will find ourselves with Team X 1 round up on the board. They're going to find themselves at that 11-10 scenario. But Godsent, they bowed out of this race. But they can still bring it straight back, as now they can go 11-11. They can find themselves just going 11-11, 12-12, straight through to the end.
Yeah, the only problematic scenario now is we've already seen the sort of force buy saga end with 2 coming in a row. It has been 1-1-1 all the way back and forward at the moment. We can see that the highlight of actually 2 of the top players in the last game being further down the bottom. But the more important thing is, no matter what happens here, Team X have got to buy in the next round, and a decent buy as well, like with AKs, rather than just going with pistols. So that's the one sort of frightening thing about bowing out. The more extensive thing is they will actually have rifles on the board themselves, but still some UMPs in order to get some utility. That's the big thing. Wenton can of course afford utility because he was able to actually get the AK and save it into the round, but the rest of the players, if they want any utility rather than just rifles, they had to go for this. And, well, I'm a little bit intrigued by the setup they're actually going for here, because they seem to be going very heavy over towards this A side. If they know something is coming. Wenton will manage to get a quick trade, but still not too beneficial for the CT side. And Snappy, as his name suggests, takes the head quickly off the head of Twist. And, well, this is looking a little bit problematic now as trades are coming in backwards and forwards, leaving just the SMGs in play. Lekro, definitely someone who can use this weapon, and up close and personal could be beneficial, especially now that this has just all been a fake. And the bomb and one more player are rotating away. Wild spray doesn't pay off, though.
Lekro will eventually be taken down by Glaive. Certainly not paying off indeed, as now we look at a Pronax 1 man standing. I think at this point, this is where we start to see more apparent, because of course Team X, they have won the last 2 in a row, but it's not really been too apparent because we've been in that constant kind of 10-all, 11-all race. But this is where they look to take a lead. And Pronax, well, he's going to hit the deck, and they will do just that. They're going to make it 12-10. Team X looking to take this one well and truly home and get themselves just further in stage 2. Whereas from the Godsent side of things, a couple of cracks being shown. Well, the key thing now is Team X, realistically speaking, again, going to play around with the phrase possibility and realistically here, because we don't want to kind of knock on the pistols too much, but we should be seeing 13-10.
Yeah, and, well, we've already seen some hefty damage done by these pistols, some nice work across the board when that Force by Saga was going on, but now there's a high amount of utility. You'd, yeah, definitely expect Team X would have to make some big mistakes. They've also got the SMG, and I think up against pistols, if you have an SMG like this, it can just basically spot out all these angles, spot out where players are, and also just mow them down like a shredder. But still going to find one at least. Freeze is going to get taken down. As said, it was just the SMG, so not a huge investment for him just yet. I'm quite pleasantly surprised at the fact that he has had more of an impact than expected, but he hasn't been going for the AWP, so that could be the reason behind that. Schneider does have himself some Kevlar, so maybe worth saving this into the next round or trying to get himself a rifle to boot, but at the moment it looks like he is completely out of position as everybody's going over towards that A site.
Certainly going to be something that's not too great for him, but at the same time, he's got body armor. That's going to be something for them to maybe utilize in that next round. But in the grand scheme of things, we are beginning to get to the end of this one, Tom. Getting closer and closer to that marker with Team X almost certainly going to be walking away with that 13-10. Looking to make it 14 and inadvertently 16. But when do Godsent take maybe even a bit of a pause here? When do they kind of sit back and go, right guys, what's going wrong? What can we do here? Because of course, we've had this neck and neck scenario. But would you say this is the perfect time then? Because they should be going to the only time.
It's sort of the only time, because if they don't take it here, then you're looking at more of a factor, okay, this is going to go 13-10. They buy in the next round, that's 14-10 if they lose it. Then they take the pause and they're not going into a buy, or they take it when it's sort of too late, like it'll be the last round, and if whatever they do doesn't work, then it's all but over. So if they are going to take a pause, which I'm not sure they will, this would be the prime time to do it, and it's because they're going into the 4-buy. We'll see the AWP, which we haven't seen too much. It's going to be Twist playing it, and, well, considering what we saw in the sort of first stage, it was definitely more that side of Schneider playing with the AWP and playing over towards that A site as well. At the moment, they've actually decided, again, this could be a switch-up due to the fact that Wenton's in the lineup, but they decided to play 2 over towards A, with the backup to that AWP, and well, so far it does seem that B site take, or the B site itself, has just become so much weaker because of it.
Weak indeed. With this one playing in a fairly interesting fashion, not too much taking place. There's a couple of shoulder peeks being exchanged from either side. They look to go on themselves, just a little bit of information to decide exactly how they want to play this one out as Freeze. He's going to be going fairly aggressive, looking for a pick on towards long. Little as you know, there are 2 members of Godsent ready and waiting to go for the pick, and this could be quite uncomfortable, and it will be just that Twist. It will take him down. And Godsent already going to find themselves a 1-man advantage. They were looking to take this one home, but just take a look at what Team X are doing here. They are sneaking their way well and truly up on towards this A-site, straight through ramp, and no one has spotted them.
Yeah, Twist will manage to grab another kill. Now in a bit more of a flank position rather than actually defending the site. The bomb's going to go down. Valdi will open things back up, but it's going to be Schneider with the trade. We're still waiting to see what Twist has to offer, as now there's only 2 players left for them to actually deal with. The flashbang going to be coming through, but Snappy will avoid it, grabs another frag back into the round, making it a 2 versus 3, and seemingly much more possible. Looking towards these nades, this utility, Pronax. He has a Molotov still. Use that onto the site, and we can see an opening. We are actually going to see a bit more damage as Snappy. He has to use this wall as a more of a defensive position, but already it's going to come down to Glaive. Wenton will drop him, and it's just Snappy left alone. Going to go for the spray. Manages to grab not actually anything, but he's going to be spraying wildly, trying to stop them defusing. He actually does that, finds a second, but there is Schneider to close him out, but there's not enough time.
What on earth did we just witness? I've not too many words left to describe that one, Tom, because the one problem Godsent have got is they might have found the frags in the end, but their economy is not going to be quite there. It's not even enough to go for a proper CT side buy. And well, some of the things they have carried over is something. They've got these UMPs up, they've got 1 in 4 up on the board. Thankfully Schneider was able to help out a little. But even then.
Yeah, well, that's how not to deal with a 4 versus 2, for sure. Every single player pushed through the door, except for Twist, who went very aggressive and actually got taken down because of it. Really, he needed the rest of his team to push a bit more aggressively first. If he was then able to flank, so say you do it the other way around, the 3 players push in, take down Glaive, and then Snappy turns around, he has Twist behind him. Instead, Twist pushes through the smoke, falls, then the 3 players push in, kill Glaive, and Snappy has a chance because there's no one behind him. So that flank position was so valuable and was just thrown away because of an aggressive peek. Either way, nice flashbang. 2 easy frags of Valde, but that flash was just prime time. And now there's only 3 players to actually try and deal with this one. 14-10, looking to take themselves a 15th round, and then we really will be in scary territory. Nice flash again, but not quite going to do what the previous did. Schneider will grab himself another frag, and he has been better on this CT side, but not quite enough for them to actually be in a strong position here. Looking to see if Twist can do the work with that AWP, as the majority of players are pushing onto the site now, and there's, well, just no real presence. Wenton nowhere to be seen. Schneider going to get taken down, but it's all down to Twist, because the rotation is just way too slow.
He might find himself a no-scope, but he's eventually going to be hitting the deck. Snappy will take him down. The bomb going to be soon to follow. And well, Wenton, well, he was nowhere to be seen. Now at least he's been discovered. He's over towards the store, pushing himself up and close towards Fountain. But even then, it's a 1 versus 3. And well, you take a look at how Wenton's been playing this one. Doesn't feel like he's going to be pulling this one off. And well, there's your answer. Freeze coming in with the AWP pick, takes him down. And Team X, they've got themselves a series point. That's how close we are right now, Tom. This could be it. This is where Team X could find themselves moving on in stage 2, and Godsent, well, yeah, not so much.
Well, yeah, this is the big thing. For me, Wenton is doing exactly what he should be doing. He is 16-16. He is a stand-in for the team. Should not be having to carry by any stretch of the imagination. And what we're looking at is more Lekro being much more quiet, Schneider not being too apparent, especially on that T side. And that's been a big difference. Twist has had his moments, but even still, you can't hype him up too much. And Pronax definitely not have that sort of kill and trade mentality that we saw on Dust 2. Either way, the buy will come in. Twist will have a glass cannon AWP. The rifles will be on the board for everybody except Pronax, who's gone for that utility position. Already we're going to see a little bit of early aggression over towards this A site, with 3 players waiting for any CT counter. And there we go. Twist goes for the peak. Freeze is ready and waiting. And this was a problem of both AWPers on this map. They have to sort of try and make something happen. And, well, if you peek into Freeze, unless we're on Dust 2, he will do the damage.
Wenton, though, is going to find one, takes down Snappy, so brings it back to a 4 versus 4. As we look to see potentially what could be the end, but it all comes down to a couple of interesting factors. Team X, they need to get themselves onto a site. They have the bomb, of course. There's no fancy business there. But they haven't quite worked out where they want to head. But the one thing is for sure, Godsent, well, they're pretty damn biased over towards this B site. They've only got Wenton playing very close to this door. He's been spotted up the flash roll. He goes for the pre-fire, still gets punished. Glaive will take him down. And now that will prompt the rotate coming straight back over towards A, meaning there's just now one player alone holding B. And that is not something I thought I'd be saying.
Yeah, this is a sort of fake situation that has worked out a few times now. Godsent, they either have to play that gamble game or just have to sort of hope that one of their individuals can actually take this one home. They are going to push their way back over, but it's now just trying to force their way back into a site which has already been taken. Schneider is going to manage one. Lekro will do the same, but it's still going to be a 2 versus 1 scenario. Freeze has himself the AWP, but actually Lekro manages to do this, and it's only going to be a matter of seconds. He has to jump across, go for the bomb plant. Will do it with about a couple of seconds to spare, but Lekro now, he should know where this is. Here comes the push, and Freeze is back as he closes out that game, and Team X are the ones going through.
A really nice way for that one to unfold. But of course, before we jump into what just took place, let's talk about players and talk about the entire series wrapped up into one lovely little scoreboard. Well, it's going to be Valde sitting nice and comfortably at the top, 66-49.
Well, the funny thing is for the team that lost, they are actually the ones with 3 players. Mainly that's because of how heftily they won Dust 2 rather than anything other than that. And, well, Valde is at the top of the board in terms of the fragging ability, of course, had most of the entry kills as well, and I think that was a reasonable one overall. But the real problem was, I feel like they actually tried to change their setups a little bit too much to sort of gratify the problem of Palf. And I have to say that that's a bit of an underlying factor for me, that because they didn't have their full lineup, it may just scamper the result a little bit. Obviously great for Team X. They're going to go on to the next round, and, well, they're going to have some tough opposition, that's at least to say. If it has been released, then you guys can actually go and look that up. I do know who the team is off the top of my head. And, well, I could.
It's an awkward
should I hint at it? Should I hint at it? It's coming up soon
subtlety.
anyway. Should I go like that?
Yeah,
like
just give it some
little,
subtlety.
how do you do it? It's like something like that, isn't it? Some weird little... I can't do it either way.
You just can't do it.
I just can't do it.
I'm hoping
But
there's someone out there.
people will work out what I'm trying to do.
I'm hoping there is someone out there who also can't do it and has realised that, you know, they're sitting there faffing around and like, just, oh, okay. Suddenly worked it out, you know?
It's like, I don't know. Either way, that's who they'll be playing. For anybody who doesn't get that, I don't even know if I'm supposed to have said who it is. But either way, that's what the next matchup will come in. Team X are through. Godsent, unfortunately, are out. And it is an unfortunate scenario. Obviously, they had Wenton. I don't think he did a bad job at all. On train, it was a little bit more questionable, but especially on the T side, he was the best player in this match on cobblestone, and that's a scary thought. And well, Schneider, a little bit sleepy or just not quite there, stepped up a bit on the CT side, but I just feel like they didn't manage to do enough on the T side for it to really be worthwhile. And Team X, they did pretty damn well, really walking away with that one. I think only 2 CT rounds actually came in for the Godsent side.
Yeah, certainly a nice feat. But for me, the big topic for me isn't really kind of post-analysis of the game. It's almost, do they have what it takes to make the most of their opportunity moving on into Stage 2?
Yeah, that's going to be a massive factor. Of course, that will be coming up, I think, in, well, maybe even later in the week, depending what day it is, because I have lost track of it, being in Ukraine for this long. But either way, we will be back, I think, tomorrow with another matchup, and make sure you are there for that one. See you tomorrow.